Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Right on, writers, and welcome first-time viewers to the Books by Adrian author platform and our flagship show, Livestream Sunday. If you are new, my name is Adrian Santiago. I will be your host today. Hello. This is the Season 3 finale episode. So we will not be live next week, but there will still be a video premiering next week in this very same time spot. So keep coming back. Plus, we have the podcast coming on Thursday, but I'm getting ahead of myself. First and foremost, thank you, each and every one of you, for being here. And those of you who were here early, thank you so much for being early. It's awesome to see you all here. First, hit that subscribe button if you're new and you haven't done so already. Hit the notification bell. It'll let you know every time I go live and every time I premiere a new show, like next week, where we return to Chronicles. That's the show that's coming back next week, is Chronicles. Let's see here. Leave a like on the stream. If you're watching this on the rewatch, leave a like on the video. Leave a comment down below telling us the biggest lesson you learned while writing. The biggest thing that you learned during your writing journey. The thing you'd love to go back and do differently if you could do it all again. All right. After today's episode, Livestream Sunday will be on a 2-month off-season hiatus while I organize Season 4. If you would like to be a part of Season 4 or the Books by Adrian podcast, go into the downstairs and click on the link tree or directly onto the application form. Either way is a good way to get to the application form, and there you can let me know that you are interested in being on the show, being on the channel, and it will help me with not only scheduling your episode, but also crafting an episode around you as a creator. So definitely check that out. We are going to move forward into Season 4 with big plans. But that's enough of the business. Let's get into the good stuff. My guest today needs no introduction, but I'm going to try it anyway. We premiered Season 2 with his expertise on the hero's journey and story structure. Today, we pick his brain regarding the career of the independent author in 2021 and our future going into 2022, including navigating our online author communities, building author platforms, and of course, writing good books. His first novel, Blind Spot, is available now, and the sequel, Forbidden, is just over, I think, a week away from the time of this episode. Let's soak up some inspiration and some information and eyebrow-arching techniques. Please help me welcome back to the show, Kent Shawn. Kent, welcome to the show. Hello, welcome back. You opened us up in Season 2. You're closing us out in Season 3. How are you, my friend? Where are you? What are you doing? What's going on in your life right now?
Well, first of all, I'm just honored to be here on your show, Adrian. You do such a great job with this thing, man. So professional. I'm kind of blown away that you'd be asking me how to do anything about an author platform when yours is about the best one that I know of. So what am I doing? I'm still here in South Korea, not by choice, and I still have another few months to go before I get back home to my wife, my 2 kids, and my 2 hellhounds in El Paso, Texas. So that's what I'm up to.
I bet you miss the heck out of your family, man. You know,
mainly the dogs.
Yeah. They're probably the easiest to deal with. I can see where you're coming from.
No, I might miss the wife and kids too. I got to admit it. No, I miss them all terribly. And you'd think that, you know, it'd be restful to be away from all the bustle and everything. It's exactly the opposite. It stresses me out being away from them, and I can't wait to get home.
I hope that you get to go home very, very soon, my friend. I don't wish being away from one's wife and children on anyone. I hate it every time it happens to me. So let's get into some cheerier stuff.
Okay.
Since you bummed us out right off the top, let's say hello to everybody in the chat. We have Jared, we've got Richard, we've got Cindy. Hello, hello. My boy Safi, who's I hope he doesn't mind me blowing him up. He's at home with COVID right now, so we wish him well. Feel better, buddy. I don't know what you're doing here. You should be resting. What's up, Chris, Kenny,
Hey, Chris.
and the beautiful Amelia is here as well. Hello. All right, all right. Let's see. Victoria, so many people. Hello, Natasha. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for coming out for the finale. This is dope. Oh my god, I'm excited. Today's topic is a fun one, and so let's just start with that. The indie author platform. That's today's topic. For those of you in the chat, quote, label your questions with a Q. You do not have to wait until a question section at the end to hear your responses. We're going to be kind of vibing with you guys throughout today, as this is not so much an interview as it is a discussion. Chris, Kenny, giving love to the graphics. Dope graphics from Richard. Thank you. You guys are awesome. You guys are so nice. Thank you so much. I do work really hard on them. I appreciate that everybody else appreciates them. What is it about talking about the indie author career that drew you in for today's topic? Because it was going to be an author interview, and you were like, "Hey, man, let's talk about something else." So, why is this on your mind these days? Kent, let us in.
So, and it really comes down to the stage that I'm at in my life, really, when it comes to me as an author. So, I did things kind of a different way than a lot of people do. You know, many people work real hard, they write a book, and then immediately start marketing that book. However, I kind of did something different. I wrote a lot of books over a period of about 8 to 10 years, and didn't really try to put them out or look at marketing or look at building an author platform or anything until recently. I was really just focused on being able to write. So I'm about to hit the stage, the scary stage, where it's time to try to make a living doing it.
Fisher Cup bait.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Pooer, get off the pot.
Yeah.
But so as this next beginning of next year, about the February March time frame, I'm going to really start pushing into marketing and trying to build an audience, a sustainable audience, and to write books directly for them. It's something I want to talk about today. So I didn't want to do just another interview where kind of what I've been talking about for the last 8 years is writing books and story structure, and how to get inspiration, how to outline. And I kind of didn't want to rehash that same ground again, although I'm always happy to talk about that stuff.
Sure.
What I really wanted to do is try to kind of feel my way through, and kind of maybe we could even discover together kind of a way of being an independent author that is not just to make some money, but something that you could look forward to and enjoy, and not be just getting yourself into another grind, turning writing, which is your passion, into just another grind. That's
Yeah.
really my goal.
A career you can not only be proud of, but also enjoy along the way as well.
Yes.
I love it. In that case, we're going to get started with part 1 of the indie author topic. I want to write a book, right? Where does a new book idea begin for you? And how do you decide which ones are worth pursuing and which ones need to be set aside and which ones need to be trashed?
Okay, so that's a big question.
Yeah.
I've never really had an issue coming up with story ideas. It's more selecting one of the 80 that are rolling around in my head at any given time. So the thing I think Stephen King said this in On Writing as well. It's the one that sticks and won't get out of your head that you keep thinking about. Before I was steadily writing book after book, which now I finish one book and I start the next one. I finish that book, start the next one. I've always got something else planned. But before that time, I kind of just wrote what I felt like. And it would be the idea that was bugging me all day. That would be the thing that I would write next. And I did a lot of stopping and starting in the beginning. I think everybody does that. And then I wrote a book called Children of Doom, and I wrote, first time I wrote sequentially, beginning to end. And then I kind of made a commitment to always starting the next thing the same day. I think I wrote Lydia, which is one of the short stories in my short story collection, Evil Grows in the Dark, the same day I wrote the end on Children of Doom. So now what happens, instead of trying to select a story idea to write, I have to basically take all of the different series that I want to work on and pick which one's next. So at this stage, I have enough ideas, outlines, and books already written to write a series a year, 5-book series a year for the next 4 years, and not have to come up with any new ideas.
A complete series each year, and then a new series the next year.
Yes. And most of these
Whoa.
I've already got book one written. So, for instance, I have a science fiction series, military science fiction series. Book one is written. It's called The School. I have a science fiction action story set in contemporary times called Charged. Book one's already written. And as of this podcast, just a few days ago, I wrote the end on the first draft of book 3 in the Millennium Tower series, Forsaken.
Yep.
And when I put out Forbidden in a week or so, that next book's already going to the editor January 1st. And while that book's at the editor in January 1st, I'm rewriting The School. So there's always something coming.
Yeah.
So I think idea generation, honestly, is
That's
just
the easy part.
I've never really had a problem. Everywhere I go, I'm seeing things that give me story ideas. Every movie I watch, every book I read. And it's usually the confluence of two different things coming together. Like, for instance, the Millennium Tower series, I had recently been watching a bunch of like pantheon mythology stuff on Netflix. I watched something about Greek gods, something about Norse gods, and I was like, well, nobody ever does the Bible very often. They do, and in retrospect, there was more of it than I thought. I thought I was doing something original.
But there's also, I mean, yes, you have your Constantines and the like that are similar to what you're doing, but mostly people use biblical iconography to layer in metaphor into their stories, like the Matrix being basically a whole Jesus narrative, without ever being a Jesus narrative. It's a sci-fi film. So yes and no, you know what I mean? Like everybody kind of does it, but everybody always is kind of like layering it in, while you're like, no, like it's the premise of this world is that this stuff is real. Like, what if? Let's go,
So really, Blind Spot started as I just wanted to do a mistaken identity gangster story, and the Angels and Demons showed up later.
I was gonna say that really snowballed on you, didn't it?
It was supposed to be maybe a 10,000 word short story, and it turned into a novel.
Yeah.
And then it was never intended to be a series, but we'll probably talk more about that later.
Oh yeah, we'll get into the Millennium Tower for sure. So then, it sounds like you have a whole bunch of works in progress all going at the same time. You have some on the front burner, some on the back burner. You're kind of moving things around as you go. When one is done and gets served, the next one moves up to the front burner. It sounds like, right?
So I never have more than one draft going at a time. So I will always complete whatever draft I'm on. I'd never stop until I'm completely done. The only time I made an exception for that, how you doing, Colin? The only time I made an exception for that was when I got into an agreement with my critique partner, Bethany Votaw, to write prequels as reader magnets. So I stopped in the middle of Forbidden for about 3 weeks and wrote the prequel novella to the Millennium Tower series, Collision, and sent it off to the editor and went right back to finishing that draft. But what I do is I leapfrog sometimes second and third drafts of other things. So sometimes I'll move away from a book for 4 or 5 months and finish the draft. Now, right now, as I'm doing this series, I'm only writing one additional book. In that time, like I said, the first draft's already written. I'm just going to rewrite it in January. So it's a short, targeted project while I'm waiting for Forsaken to come back from the editor. Because Forsaken's a longer book. It's about 100,000, 110,000 words.
A little longer than the first two.
Yeah, they're growing each time. So it was
Good.
about 50,000, 70,000. This one will be, I'm going to try to get it down to 100, but I got a little long-winded in the third act, so we'll see what I can do.
Tell the story the way it needs to be told. If there's nothing to cut that is fat, if it's all good story, then leave it in, man. The more words from you, the better.
I try to get off 10% every
when
time.
you're editing down. Nice.
Yeah, so, I got that rule of thumb from Stephen King, and I've always stuck with it.
10%, huh? I can deal with that. All right. So with all of the books that you had written over the 8 or so years that you were talking about, Richard took the question right out of our mouths here. Why start with the Millennium Tower series? Why was that your first to publish and to move forward with as an author?
Really, it's really awkward to say this, but random decision. I didn't want to publish. I have 3 books that I think are really, really strong. I didn't want to go with my strongest first. I wanted to kind of turn myself into the human assembly line for writing a series. And so I had sent the book out to beta readers thinking, hey, I'll just publish this one real quick after my short story collection and then move on to Charged, which I feel like is a really, really strong book that is probably going to be about a 5-book series. But the feedback I got on Blind Spot was crazy. It affected people in ways I didn't think that it would. I thought it was just a fun little mind-bending story with a nice action finale, and it'd just be fun. Quick book, 48,000 words.
One and done,
no
crank it out.
But then this concept kind of came to me as 2 or 3 people, especially my main critique partner, Bethany Votal, latched onto one character who was a minor character in the book. And then I was like, why couldn't I write another book about that character? If your world is kind of rich and deep enough, your world building
open
works
enough.
If there's a style to the story, could you do that style again and deliver to people what they want? And even though it was just a few people that wanted to hear more from that character, I thought, well, maybe that's what I need to do with my whole outlook on my career, is to curate an audience and then to give them what they want. Well, not to say that I'm like a mercenary for hire to write I'll write whatever you want.
It sounds more like a chef, right? Like you're ordering off a menu. You read the first book, and you pick out in that book the things that you love about it, and you tell the author, hey man, these things about that book I really, really loved. And then the author goes, I'll write you another one with more of that stuff and some other stuff, and we'll see, and we'll keep going. And you're making a book for the audience that wants to read it. I love it. Sounds awesome.
And this kind of branched out into a whole different way of thinking about being an independent author, which I know we're going to talk about later. But for the first, what I did is I took, what's the style of the book? It's fast. It happens in one night. So every book in Millennium Tower series happens over one night. There's so much I want to say about how I end these stories, but I don't want to give it away because Forbidden has one of the biggest I would just say, if you make it to the end of Forbidden, a lot of the things you thought were true, by the end you're going to find out were not. And the final situation I put my lead character in is so devious. I felt guilty about it after finishing writing it.
Oh yeah. Is
So,
is Bethany going to be mad at you?
well, she's definitely read it. She's one of my alpha readers, Dawn White and Bethany Vota. Oh, hey, there she is.
Welcome, Bethany. Speak of the devil, and she shall appear. Only she's
I
not the devil at all. She's a wonderful
I
angel.
always I always give two people, um, sometimes three, and a chance to alpha read while I'm doing the second and third drafts.
Nice.
So that way, before it gets to beta readers, somebody might catch something that doesn't make any sense or a big plot hole. It hasn't happened yet,
Yeah.
but I want that security because I already have an editor booked while I'm writing a second and third draft. So it has to get done. Like I have 3 weeks to rewrite 100,000 word Forsaken. It's got to happen.
So you're just
Just have to
gonna
make it
you're
happen.
just gonna do it. Yeah, you're just gonna make it happen.
Just make it happen.
All right. Well, sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
It's okay. So basically, though, what we're saying is I wrote this series because friends liked the characters. Because what I really intend on doing is building a really large group of friends connected by my newsletter and write books for them that they like so that they can buy them from me. And
Yeah.
we can have a reciprocal positive relationship for a long, long period of time.
Now, my first question that comes to mind when you lay out that particular career path, that this map that you have for yourself, this is what I want my career as an author to look like. Where in there are you going to make space for the books that you specifically want to write for you? Is that do you ever feel like that's going to come up and maybe have to be addressed? That a book that's solely written for yourself and no one else?
Um, okay. I see no reason I couldn't do both. Um,
Agreed.
Part of that is just learning not to waste time between drafts and to continually be like leapfrogging these projects forward. So the military science fiction books, I don't know if anybody's going to like them. They're definitely for me,
I might.
and I'm I'm going to put them out whether anybody likes it or not. At least 3 of them. So and then the stuff which I think will have a broader commercial appeal, like Charged. I just want to listen very carefully to audience responses on that. I don't think Millennium Tower series is going to have a very broad appeal because it's really dark and there's a lot of religious themes in it. And I'm not even a religious person, but they can make some people uncomfortable. They really can. So once I've finished that and I moved on to these other things, some of them will be things for me. Like there's a book that I wrote which was so bad that it just goes nowhere. 250,000 words of a wilderness, a maze of nonsense. It's a book called Parallels. I will rewrite that book one day and make it work because it was one of my better ideas. I thought
It's
I'd
just
ever
the
have.
execution that didn't pull through. Yeah.
Yeah,
hear
somewhere
you.
between The Matrix and Flatliners, and it was it's I've got to get it right. I don't care if no one ever buys it. I'm going to finish it and I'm going to publish it. So I think that through the year, I need to better understand how much I can get done, what's biting off too much, because I don't want to wreck family time and other things like that. But how many books can I put out a year comfortably? And then
Yeah.
I would say if it's 5 books a year, then one of those is for me. And the rest will be pushing forward on whichever series I'm working on. But
I love it.
I should be able to find something I like about writing each of these series.
Sure. Yeah, that's the other thing is that if you're giving your audience what they want, right? Like it's all based on what you've written before in your model here. So it all comes from you anyway, you know? They're telling you what they like about what you already did.
Yeah. And I think the challenge there is to stretch yourself and how much you can change the main characters, how much you can put them through to where they continue to change and you're
How
kind of
many
building a
arcs
legend.
can they? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love
Over
that idea.
time.
That's exactly what I'm trying to do in my series, man. Just build up some characters and have them go on so many crazy adventures that they just become these mythical, legendary heroes. Okay, so we've talked about how you get your ideas and all of that. Let's move on to the next phase. You have your idea, you know what you're writing now. So now we need to build an author platform, right? So you've decided to write books, you've decided to be an author, and you realize I need an audience, right? Like me, I mean, you began your author platform before having published anything, so at least our minds, I think, were in the same kind of zone with, hey, let's tell people I'm coming, you know. So when I show up, somebody's there, right?
So, kind of.
Yeah.
I am not going to compare anything I did to what you've done, because you have an actual, like, completely modeled platform. It looks great. I'm excited just to be here on this cool looking thing you've got. So I was really just an idiot wandering through the woods, knowing I was going to start publishing in a year or so. And I'm like, okay, I got to have a website. So I built a website. It wasn't very good. And then I just modeled it. I paid a little money and modeled it after just some indie authors who sold a lot of books. And I tried to keep it simple. I started a YouTube channel, which really just turned into an excuse to goof off with my kids. So I was mainly talking to other writers and stuff like that. Started YouTube. I got on Twitter, which anybody that knows me knows I very rarely get on any of my social media. I just, it's not something I take to naturally. I don't feel good about spending a lot of time staring into my phone.
Sure.
I feel like it's a little bit of a trap. I don't think you can ignore it nowadays. And if
it's integrated itself into society at a point where, like, yeah, it's necessary to get around, but you don't have to stare at it all day. Yeah.
no. So I basically did the basics. I started a newsletter. I have 2 mailing lists. One is anybody that came to me through, like, my short story competitions or through my YouTube channel, and then another one that came to me specifically through books. So one is about 1,000 people. That's my YouTube and everything. A lot of these people were just wanting to be in a short story competition, then never did it for some reason. That's where I got most of those signups. And then my other list are people that have bought one of my books and signed up through the book links, or downloaded my reader magnet Collision and read it and joined my newsletter through that. So I have a readers and people. So I've got the 2 lists.
Yeah.
And I don't put out many newsletter announcements. I haven't even put one out for Forbidden yet. The pieces are there, and I have a bit of an idea of what I'm trying to do with them, which is I'm going to pay to advertise to get people on my newsletter, and then send them emails about when books are coming out, and give away free books, and have, contest prizes, stuff like that, to get people interested and to stay on the newsletter. And then my main goal for the next year is to grow the newsletter, as much as it is to start, like, a trickle of sales of books. Mm-hmm. I think you need a certain amount of capital, of advertising capital, and to be willing to spend it over a significant period of time to test which platforms and which interests, keyword clouds and stuff like that are going to really drive sales to your book.
Yeah, you got to get down into the, like, a real nitty gritty of it. I throw this question from Chris Kenny up, because it talks about what we're talking about here with the newsletter and everything. He's asking, what do you think you need to do to get to the next stage in your career? And, you're talking about getting into the finer details of actually selling books here. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Where do you kind of do your research? Where can people start looking to educate themselves as well on all this kind of stuff? Any recommendations? Or?
Well, there's Chris Fox is a really cool indie author. He's got a lot of good YouTube videos if you want to go check him out. He talks about going and finding where people that read your genre hang out. whether it be on Facebook, some forums or something like that. And I've kind of started to build a list of those places. And then part of my strategy will be to post there regularly, and to generally over time, bring attention to my author website, author page, and post giveaways, stuff like that, to try to get people onto the newsletter. Really, the newsletter is the central point. Like, if I sell one book to one person on Amazon, that's great. That's a couple of dollars. But if they join my newsletter and there's a chance I sell them another book, then it would have been worth the price of that book to me to get them on the newsletter. Because now I potentially have someone I can sell to over and over again, and I don't have to reach them with an advertising dollar. I don't pay for that click anymore.
Yeah.
So in order to accomplish that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to piggyback on exactly what you're saying here with Adam's question and how it applies to what you're talking about, because he's asking, do you think I need a website and a newsletter, or is my blog my newsletter? I would answer, that's not your newsletter, because people still have to go to your blog. You're still counting on them going there first to read your stuff. A newsletter goes to them. And that's far more important to have them welcome you into their email and stay there, I think, is much more valuable than coming to your website, coming to your blog. What do you think? Can you agree? Like what?
I think there are some blogs that get distributed to people's emails. I don't know if he has one like that, but I think a newsletter is its own thing. I'm not claiming to be any expert here. All I'm saying is just it makes logical sense. But if I'm going to grow a community, I have to talk to them. And I need to create
and on a regular
feedback
basis.
Loop.
Yeah.
Between me and them. And that's going to be one of my big goals for the next year. And hopefully book sales in and of itself will drive people to sign up for my newsletter. So the whole author platform is built as a funnel to funnel people into the newsletter, whether it be giving away free books, like with paid Facebook ads, whether it be, short story competitions. Come sign up for my newsletter if you want to enter. Bethany just brought that up. And
links
then
down below.
Other things like that, to gradually try to build a community. And once you've got to reach a certain critical mass of there's enough people regularly communicating about the books and the series and talking to you. Because right now that, I'll get little bursts of feedback and then nothing for a while. Hey, Dan, how are you?
I haven't seen him in a while.
I think he's just getting ready for the second book in his dystopian series coming out pretty soon, I think. Anyway, my whole point is to kind of curate an audience. I have to go find them, and I have to spend some money to do that. And it's going to take some trial and error. But the number one thing to do is to get an audience, engage them with feedback, and then here's the other trick. Have to have new books coming out to talk about. So I have to continue to finish books at a rate so that people don't lose interest.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely, man. Like keeping them engaged, keeping them coming back, giving them something new to be excited about. The idea that you're going to basically have this like conveyor belt of books going is awesome, because with every book that comes out, they can flip to that last page and see the next book coming out. You could already have the cover on there. You know what I mean? Even if it's still a few months away. Just knowing what's next and getting, I'm going to have another book in like 2 months, 3 months, whatever it is. Dope. Like people are going to keep coming back to you as this well of content. You know what I mean? People love freaking good books, man.
So that's kind of what this last year is
like, comment,
about.
Subscribe. Sorry, go ahead.
It's been about liking, commenting, and subscribing.
Yeah.
Now, this last year has been about how many books can I actually write? Hey, Don, how many books can I realistically write in a year and try to keep a level of quality? They need to be improving. I need to be getting better at something each time.
Yes.
I think I went too fast. I actually had planned on a September release for Forbidden. The book was done. I just was not available to upload books onto things and to meet with my editor and do all this other stuff, and the book was done. I really need to space them out just a little bit more. I think 5 books a year is probably the right speed for me. And I may start writing them in batches instead of write, release. I may write 3, send them all to the editor, and then work that way. Although it's going to be tough on beta readers. I already ask a lot of my beta readers. Because like, if you have beta readers and you only write 1 book a year, your friends are reading 1 book of yours a year. I'm asking people to beta read for me 3 and 4 times a year.
Yeah.
So
I
need a bigger pool of beta readers.
Yeah. Maybe distribute it out a little more, thin it out a little bit. Yeah, man. 5 books a year sounds right up your alley. And if you do have a whole bunch of books written already in your past that you can just go back to and edit and not have to necessarily rewrite, or maybe do a quick rewrite on, those might also fill in like a couple of, in between this series and that series, maybe this standalone novel or whatever it is. And it might be a good way for you to feel out your audience as well as to any left turns that you should be doing. If you're going from one series to the next, but all of a sudden everybody like jumps on this short story that you wrote or whatever, you can always give them another taste of that and whatnot. It sounds like that's what you want. Like, you want this kind of back and forth between yourself and your audience in order for your books to be not only what you want them to be, but what they want them to be ultimately, And in today's day and age with, all this that we're doing online and everything, it's actually possible, how can YouTube and AuthorTube best service the indie author, you think? I know that we've talked about how this is not really where we find readers. So how can we put this platform to its best use, in your opinion?
Well, first of all, just because I don't think for me that AuthorTube's the best way to gain a reading audience, doesn't mean that some people can't do it and do pretty well at it. We've seen them do it.
True.
Even some writers of questionable skills.
Also true.
So, and not taking anything away from them, they built something and they made money off it, and they deserve credit for doing that.
They worked hard to do it. Absolutely, yeah.
But if you just think, though, when people want to read, they don't go click on YouTube. They go shop in the Amazon store, or they go to their favorite book blogger or whatever, and get some recommendations from friends or whatever it is. Look at their favorite authors that they follow on Amazon, see if they got a new book out. So what can AuthorTube do for us? Well, it can do the most amazing thing that it did for me, which is introduce me to a bunch of authors who I can be friends with, and I get to read their stuff as it's coming out. I love it when Hannah Palmer or Victoria Wren or Bethany Votaw has a new book, and I get to read it. I just read Bethany's prequel to Tracker, which just came out, by the way. Bethany Votaw, Tracker, get it right now on Amazon.
Now.
I've literally read her prequel 3 times, and I have like a notebook full of notes for her, and I love doing that. Like, it's exciting to see other people creating things. I've been with Victoria Wren from the first book of her series, reading them as she's writing them, and it's just so much fun for me. And I wouldn't have had any of that without AuthorTube. So I don't plan on spending a lot of time on AuthorTube in the immediate future, mainly because I'm writing books all the time, and it's time consuming. But I'm still going to probably make a couple videos, a month or so. But doing 4 or 5 videos a month like I used to, I don't know that I'll ever do that again.
Yeah.
Just because something's got to give. If you're going to do homework with your kids, you're going to write books, you're going to go to the gym, you're going to have a job. Your wife might like some attention now and again. You're gonna have to. Something's got to give, and if the thing that'll give for me will be editing videos.
Same here, man. I've now that Livestream Sunday is going off season, I'm going to be putting out videos again. When Livestream Sunday is going on, I don't make original videos. I don't have time for that. I allow YouTube one day of my week, and that one day is Sunday. and I allow it 2 hours, and that's from from 4 p.m. till 6 p.m. And then that night at work, I do a little light editing on the podcast. It takes me max 20 minutes, and I throw that sucker up, and that's it. I don't do anything else on my YouTube the whole rest of the week. The whole rest of the week is writing, and I do my stuff on Instagram, advertising for the channel and everything, but that's stuff that I do on my phone real quick in between my lunch break or whatever. Like, it's not a big deal. It can happen anytime. But this YouTube stuff, I limit how much actual time and effort I put into it, because I know that, number one, I do need to put time and effort into it if I want it to look halfway decent. And but I also don't want to get lost in only doing that, because I have to write good books. You got to find the balance.
I agree with you 100%. And that's, for me, I've got to find that sweet spot on how many books a year. And it won't be money that decides that. It'll be quality. What quality can I produce? It's a lot of work writing a book in a month or so.
Oh yeah.
It's not.
So we've talked about the getting of the idea, right? We've talked about wanting to build this platform to support the career that you are forming, right? Now let's talk about actually releasing the book in some successful way. So when you started, go ahead. Sorry.
Here's where I go. I have no idea.
Yeah. Same. Because I mean, that's ultimately what we want to do, right? Like, we want to release a book to some variation of success, depending on what you as a creator look at as success. I talk about this with a lot of my guests here, is what does the success of your book look like to you? Because I know what it looks like to me for mine. I don't need to sell thousands of copies or whatever to feel like I've succeeded in writing a book, because this is my first book. So for me, success in releasing this first book looks like a random stranger who I do not know, who I did not tell about this book, who I have no connection to. A random stranger sees my book, reads the blurb or reads a review about it, decides to buy it, reads the whole thing, likes it, and then chooses to write their own review of it. That to me is, I've succeeded as an author. I've reached a random person. They liked it, and they liked it enough to pay it forward and leave me a review. That to me is a successful book release for your first novel, because you know that your friends and your family are going to support you. You know that they're probably going to pick up a copy to help you out financially. You know that they're going to tell you that it's great. Some of them might even read the book. Not all of them will. Some of them might. But at the end of the day, these are people who already know you and care about you on some level, and are supporting you. But a random stranger who buys your book and loves it and reviews it, that's success to me. So what about you, man? Like, what are you looking forward to as a successful book release? What does that look like to you?
I kind of like your version, but I've already kind of accomplished that. So although I'm more likely to get this is something I've never understood. I'm more likely to get a personal email than to have a person leave a review. They will actually email me and tell me they like the book, but they can't put a freaking star or write, hey, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
It's really crazy. People will email you questions about parts of your story and not leave a review.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I've got terrible luck with reviews, and I don't really make a lot of effort to get them yet at this stage. But what I would say is, what I would consider a successful release, it's almost like I'm not even looking for it right now. Money would be involved. I would want to make back my investment in the book in the first few days of the release, but I don't think I can reach that level of success until I've already built some things. one being the newsletter, so that there's a large enough pool of people to get a sticky ranking for the first week or so. All of my books have hit the top one or two in multiple deals for like a day or 2 days, and then people stop buying them, and then I'll get random spikes again. I'm not advertising, so I don't have any right to expect anything like that, and I don't have a big enough newsletter, so I don't have any right to expect anything like that, and that's fine. I'm going to get the whole series out, but once through this next year, when I start releasing the charged books, that's when I'm going to try to find that success. Now, you want what I would call the parameters of success would be, at minimum, earning back the money it costs to produce it in the first week, at minimum. And that's not easy. That's selling hundreds and hundreds of books.
Yeah. And right off the bat,
so
too.
I don't know
Pre-sales.
if I'll get there.
Pre-sales is probably ultimately the way to get a leg up on that fight, right? What do you think?
I want to do more research on that, because I've heard two different ways. One person told me that actually drops you out of the rankings, because the pre-sales
Don't count for your actual
translate
sales?
to its immediate ranking. So, like when you pull up a genre, you get like 25 books you can see on page one. Those are usually the only ones anybody ever looks at. So you want to be in that top whatever ranking. And if your pre-sales only hit for a day, it's almost would be better if you had your sales a little bit spaced out over the week. That's from the research I've done so far. Again, I do not claim to be any kind of expert on this
Bethany
stuff.
says that she didn't do a pre-order for Tracker, and it worked out better than with Scribbles and Scrawls. That I wonder how much of that, though, is a novel versus a short story collection. People are always going to be drawn closer to novels. So I wonder if that was
that being said, I would say that my short story collection sold thousands of copies, and I'm only I haven't even come close to that with Blind Spot or Collision, and I don't expect to for Forbidden either. But I think that some weird stuff happened where I think my book got shared around on a Facebook group or something, and it caused a big spike. And I did a one-day free giveaway of it, and I got like 1,000 downloads that day. So
nice. Yeah, big like launch moments like that are key, I think, to the continued life of a book, is to like not just have like the release be all of it. Every so often bring it back into the people's consciousness, bring it back into people's marketing pages and whatnot. Kick it up a notch every couple of weeks or something.
I fully intend to start giving books away as soon as I have enough additional books so that read through could translate into sales. I'll start giving Blind Spot away for free. I'll probably change my newsletter to give away 2 or 3 books for a sign up. But I need books 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 to be up and available for sale so that can be worth it to me. Like the first year, there's going to be a lot of giving stuff away. And the reason that I'm going to do that is I'll do it cyclically, not like consistently. I have like a 4-week period. But anyway, like I said, the reason is that I really need to develop that community of people that have read the books and that are on the newsletter. And without them, these big launches where I make a bunch of money back, I can't prime that algorithm. I don't have enough people that I know will buy the book in the first week to make a big enough splash. So the only other way to make a big splash like that is to have thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to do a campaign, a media campaign that would bring more attention to the book on release week. And I'm not going to have that money to spend on it probably for a couple of years.
So with all of that in mind, what would you have done differently if you could release your first novel again? Like if you could do it all over, how would you approach it differently?
I would have saved up about $5,000 to advertise. But even then, you know what? I hate woulda, coulda, shoulda. I almost am okay with not doing that. I think I can still, even though the book's already out, I can go back and put a bunch of money advertising Blind Spot when I finish the series. and then have a better chance for read through.
Sure.
So what would I do differently? I don't even know if it would be to put a bunch of advertising dollars on it. I think the only thing I would do differently, I would have been more diligent about growing my newsletter beforehand instead of just basically putting it off till 2022, which is what I've ended up doing. I think if I could go back, I would have put out a bunch of short stories and given them away for free, little ebooks, try to build a newsletter and to have a larger audience when the first book hit. Maybe have given out little teasers and blurbs to try to push the book harder in the beginning, as much for free as I could.
Right on. So, what parts of the publishing process have you found to be completely unenjoyable? Complete terms.
Well, trying to get book covers to fit in Amazon. I have a professional do it, and there's always something wrong. Every single time when I'm making the print version, I have to wrestle with KDP. It's as easy as anybody could want it to be, but for some reason, I never get lucky with it. I have not had one. Well, I've only done 2 on there, so both paperbacks were a nightmare to get put up.
And it just came down to that cover, man. Like just getting the cover right.
Covers, and also on the PDF that you upload. I make my books with vellum. You upload the PDF, and like if you use like a fancy first letter in the paragraph, some of them just get into that margin, and you have to go to each page and adjust them in the PDF, it's tedious. So it's funny. I'm so like tasked when I'm actually writing the book or outlining or editing. I'm just a machine, right? I can just sit down and get work done and make it happen.
Yeah.
I start doing stuff like that, and I'm a lazy bum. I don't want to do it. I hate it.
It's a complete turnoff. You don't want to do it. Yeah. You need an assistant who will do that stuff for you.
I was going to say, if I ever start making money, I will probably pay somebody to do all that.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Get some help in there. So then what parts of the publishing process were unexpectedly fun or exciting? What was the part that you were surprised at how enjoyable it was?
Days where tons of people downloaded the book. I mean, I didn't expect any of that. I don't even know how it happened. Like Evil Grows in the Dark kept astounding me over and over again. It would shoot back up the rankings again and again. And that just made me feel good. And I made that cover. So I had no expectation that it would be, I don't know. I just didn't expect to get that many downloads. In the first couple of days of Blind Spot, there were people that read the book in one day that I didn't know, like you said, and sent me an email. It's like, I couldn't put it down. I read it in one day. And that makes you feel as good as anything ever will. So.
Bethany says that the tech side is painful. Meanwhile, Richard says he actually enjoys the tech side, but he's not for hire. Thanks for your help, Richard.
Then why bring it up?
Way to go. All right. So we're getting close to the end here. What did you want to cover today that you don't think we've gotten to quite yet? We still have the podcast coming up, so we're still going to get to some of the questions in the outline that we didn't get to. But what did you really want to tell people about today that maybe we didn't cover so much? Anything? Just
that, like, I wouldn't want to ever put myself forward as being some kind of expert about selling books as an independent author. I intend to become one over the next few years. But I would say this, that if you're thinking about being an indie author, if you are one, you really want to optimize what you're doing for what you want out of life. If all you care about is money, maybe you should be a super fast release, pick a niche genre that's underserved, right to market. Those things will make you more money. And then maybe it's a little bit more of a mercenary attitude, but that might be what some people want, is to just make money writing books. If you have a passion for writing a certain kind of book, don't let the money drag you away from it. Find a way to do the best you can doing the thing that you love. And I think what I love doing more than anything right now is coming up with new stories. It's what excites me, of coming up with a new way of, I write a lot of action stuff, and there's only so many ways to have a fight or a car chase or, whatever. So each time I have to come up with some emotional shift or something new, something different. That challenge excites me. That's why I think I'm going to really love writing series. So all I mean is optimize for the life you want. Don't build your platform and everything just for the cash, because you got to live. You have to have a life that you look forward to. I get up every morning and I want to write, and I don't want that to ever change. Otherwise, you're just quitting one grinding job for another.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's my main thing. Curate an audience that you can have a conversation with, that you can, if you want to do it the way I'm doing it, have a conversation with, and a real reciprocal relationship. You don't just put out a book and smash ads all over the place, make some money, and move on. You actually listen to the people reading the books and see what they think and what they want to hear.
Now, I asked our chat if they feel that they've used AuthorTube to its maximum potential, and every single one of them said no. And I knew that was going to happen. I did it on purpose. I wanted to show everybody that there's I don't know, there's another level to be reached with this whole AuthorTube thing, and I don't quite know what it is yet. It's on the tip of I can't quite put my finger on it, but there's another layer to this thing that we can find. And so like that's part of what I'm trying to do with my platform. And Kent, you have been privy to some meetings, what's kind of coming down the pipeline for the website and everything, and the community that we have planned. But that's also part of my goal with all this. It's not just to build this community, it's not just to help people write their books, which we are going to do, but also to help writers who are building their platform to kind of figure this thing out and use it to its full potential. Barrett Laurie has a whole series on his channel about how to use YouTube and all the stuff about the algorithm and the analytics and all that stuff. And it's really important stuff that we all need to learn and really, really get familiar with if we're going to make this thing work any better than it has been working. So I just wanted to throw that out there, that we all recognize that we could be doing so much more with this thing, and we have to figure that out. I think it's very important that we do. Kent, thank you so very much for being here, my friend. This has been outstanding.
Thanks for having me.
Stick around. We're going to do the podcast. We're going to get a little deeper into it. Folks, if you want more from Kent Shawn on this topic, come back Thursday, 11 a.m. right here on this channel. You'll have the video version of the podcast go up at that point. The audio versions are available the same day, that same morning, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and pretty much everywhere else. But those are the two that I really want everybody to go to. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Kent, any parting words for the people at home?
Finish whatever you're writing, and then
get to the end.
The next thing.
Write the end and then start at and then once upon a time, write again.
Yep.
Exactly. I love it. All right, guys. Thank you so very much for being here. Everybody in the chat. So many of you. Oh, bravo, chaps. These guys. Colin, he's a treasure. Thank you guys so much. Next Sunday, no live stream Sunday. This was the finale, but we will be having Chronicles. And the first episode of Chronicles will be focusing on what I've been reading lately. And what I've been reading lately is this gentleman's next book, Forbidden. And I will be releasing my review on Chronicles next week, Sunday, 4 p.m. right here. Same time, same channel. See you all then. I'll have the premiere chat going, so I'll be in there. Thank you again, Kent. Everybody, write on, writers, write good books. And Kent, what's your famous catchphrase?
Butts in seats, fingers on keyboards.
Hell yeah.